for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network.
All right. Good evening. How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Yeah. Today's Wednesday, June 17th, 2026. I'm your Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black. Very excited about the show tonight. Great week on the show, by the way. It's always great around here. Monday night, Alex Stefan was here, Human Potential. Last night, great show with Clyde Lewis. Clyde on Fade to Black. Round zero on Fade to Black tonight. Greg Martins is with us. I've called the show NASA Metaphysical. I was going to call it the NASA Metaphysical Guy Show. And this is going to be an amazing conversation tonight. And then tomorrow night, wrapping up the week, is our once a month AMA AJA, where you get to ask me anything. That's going to wrap up the week because then I get on a jet plane and I am going to fly to Peru. And I will be back July 1st, July 2nd. I've got a couple of flights booked coming back. We'll see. I may want to spend an extra day there, but I'll be back for the 4th of July here in the United States, celebrating our big 250th. And that's going to be amazing. And now I just want to say, last night, great show with Clyde Lewis. And wow. Need him to get out of that hospital. Doing a show from a hospital. I've done a couple of those actually. With a friend like that. Now it was a great show. It was a great conversation, but he's itching, to get back on the air and get behind the mic. And I can't imagine what that's like and what he's going through. But he was in good spirits, and he was really bringing the good stuff last night. So that was a lot of fun with Clyde. I want to share one thing with you really quick. In life, it's the little things. And when you're dealing with computers, they always turn into big things. And over the last year, my mouse, okay, I have 4 mice that I run the show with. All right. And my main, they're all main computers, but my main computer mouse was not scrolling correctly. And it was frustrating. And I kept looking at my computer for the answers with that. Like that, I've got too many programs open, whatever. And it just got worse and worse and worse to the point where I couldn't scroll. And so what did I do? Well, I replaced the mouse with another mouse, and everything is fine. I can scroll. I have been scrolling now for about 24 hours. I cannot scroll enough. It's the little things. And I spent all that time messing with drivers and just settings, and it was just the mouse. Order another mouse. Amazon is your friend. Right? Oh man, I got to tell you, it's that's a paradigm shift right there. The mices. Yeah. All right. My next event is coming up this weekend. It is Peru with Brian Forrester. Right now, they are doing the pre-tour special event where they're going to Paracas. They're going to go to a museum. They're going to go to the Red Cliffs. They're going to go to the cathedral out there in the desert. Oh, it's just unbelievable. Then they are heading to Nazca. I think that goes down tomorrow or the next day. They're going to fly over the glyphs at Nazca, and then head back to Lima, where I will join up with everybody this weekend. So if they're listening to me, which they are probably not, I'll see everybody in a couple of days. Very excited for this tour. And come and join us next year. We're also doing one in November of this year. I go to Peru twice a year, as you know. But this week, right, in the next 5 days, I am going to be participating in the Inca celebration of the sun. It is the winter solstice. It's called Inti Raymi, and it's at Sacsayhuaman there in Cusco, and 1 million people come in from around the country. 1 million. Celebrations, parades, and then, of course, this ancient ceremony that they do at Sacsayhuaman, and it is absolutely incredible what goes down, and I'm just so excited for that. And for those that are down there right now on the tour, they're having their life changed as we speak, because Peru is all of that. But when you go to Sacsayhuaman for the winter solstice, for Inti Raymi, and you see these cultures from different towns all come together in their ceremonial ancient costumes and the dances and what this does for the country, it's unbelievable. So if you would like to go and experience all of that, we'll be doing it again next year. That's the winter solstice. And if you want to tour Peru with me, just come on down with us in November. HiddenIncaTours.com. Okay, all right, I got all of that out of the way. So excited. Everybody's just down there. You know, Ken's posting pictures of his food. You know, I can't wait. I'm going to be there shortly. Tonight, Greg Martins is with us. He's a retired NASA engineer. He was at NASA for 35 years. We're going to be talking about all of that. But now he's metaphysical, man. It's all about the spiritual. We're going to be talking about how you made that transition from an amazing aerospace career to consciousness and extraterrestrial encounters. That's right. We're going to be doing all of that tonight. I've been waiting for this moment. It's going to be a fun show. All of Greg's links are below, all right, on our website and throughout social media. And let's just get things started. Let's get straight to it. I would like to welcome for the first time to Fade to Black, Greg Martins, and he's right there. Greg, how you doing, young man?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
This is going to be amazing, man. This is going to be amazing. We were talking earlier, and we don't have to mention names or anything, but you were talking about some interviews that you have watched me do in the past. Did you ever picture yourself sitting down with me? Right?
I dreamed about it, but I'm glad to be here. Yeah, it's exciting to share, you know?
Yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun. And you get the first-time guest disclaimer. So let's get that out of the way, Greg. You'll be on the show again, but you won't get the first-time guest disclaimer. And it goes like this. Greg, it's just you and I sitting on my couch having a conversation as friends. And where that conversation starts, it starts. Where it ends, it ends. But we're going to end as friends. There it is, but you have to accept so we can move on.
Oh, I totally accept that, Jimmy. How could anybody not be friend with you?
You know what? That's a good answer, my friend. It's a really good answer. One of the things that I really like to explore, and we're going to be doing this tonight, is I am full woo. Okay. I have woo that I haven't talked about. Right? I mean, I am full woo. And as I explore that and journey into the woo, I always go back to the science to see what the science says about the woo. And part of that is for me not to be crazy. I think that I've lost it. There's that part. I'm looking for the science foundation of it. And then what I end up figuring out, and this is where I'm at right now, is that science is confirming the woo more and more every single day.
Yeah.
And although they deny the woo, they deny consciousness, they deny, you know what I mean? And in their own way, science is more woo than our woo. And that's exactly what you've gone through. So let's talk about your career first. Let's go backwards. You were at NASA for 35 years.
Yeah.
What did you do at NASA?
I did mechanical engineering on spacecraft systems.
I don't even know what that means. What does that mean?
Well, anything that we want to put in space, we got to design it and build it and test it. And so I enjoy the mechanical end of it. I got a degree in aeronautical engineering from an aviation school here in Daytona Beach called Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University. So I entered as an intern in my senior year of college. Did 2 internships with NASA Goddard Space Flight Center in Maryland. And that was just when the space shuttle was coming out. So I was fortunate enough to get involved in designing and building carriers that we would put scientific instruments in and put those in the space shuttles. So we flew as a division dozens and dozens and dozens of missions on space shuttles. So I got to enjoy that. And some of the stuff was high profile. It even got on the evening news. And then once the space station started getting built, we didn't have room in the space shuttles for our hardware anymore because they were filling the space shuttles up with space station hardware to build the space station. So we went into, the folks in that division, we moved into other branches and worked on developing systems for satellites. I worked on one that went to the moon. I worked on one that went out toward the sun. So we worked on systems that would fly in satellites.
What? Just share with me. Let me live through you for a moment. What does that feel like? Right? To be standing here on terra firma, you're looking up, and your stuff is out there. What does that feel like?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I remember one time me and my friends from NASA Goddard, who had been working on this particular payload, that's what we call them, big structure holding science instruments. It was in the space shuttle. We're on the launch pad. The space shuttle has this building that can roll up to the space shuttle, and the space shuttle bay doors can be opened into the building. And everyone then has access to all of their payloads that are now in vertical position in the space shuttle on the launch pad. And we needed to check something on the spacecraft to make sure it was totally secure for launch. And the mission manager and I and a number of us are standing on the floor looking up in the bay of the space shuttle at all the hardware that's going to launch in a couple of days. And he said, "I can't believe they let us do this." It was very surreal. And, we were in our mid-30s at the time.
Right. Do you go out and drink that night? Do you go to the local aerospace bar?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. That's absolutely incredible. Many years ago, I had a friend. I still have that friend, but who arranged for my name and Fade to Black. I think our logo was on it too as well. To go on a craft and fly to Mars. And that was really, really cool just to know. Now, I know that the image, I got the certificate and I got everything from JPL. And that was great. And I know it's just a digital thing. It's not like we had a sticker, bumper sticker on the ground. But it was a really, really cool feeling. So I get that, not to the degree that you've experienced it, but wow, that is just amazing.
Yeah.
I just don't know what it's like. I've just had a little inkling of what that feeling is. Now let's shift gears. The level of visibility that ET, UAP, UFOs, aliens, contact has right now in the media in Washington, D.C., and everything else that is going on, that part is pretty incredible. But that is today. You were at NASA for 35 years. Anything you can share about that? Were there any conversations? Anything?
Well, let's see. At that time, I had a couple of friends that were interested in the metaphysics. So I did write about that in my book. In terms of alien spacecraft, there really wasn't a whole lot of conversation about that. People were thinking about alien spacecraft and ETs to the same degree as a big cross-section of our own population would. So everybody had a different opinion on what they felt was the way things were, whether extraterrestrials out there on different planets or were they not. Like going to Mars, a lot of people at NASA, they're looking for microbial life forms. And my perspective is, well, ETs have been visiting our planet for eons. It's big difference in opinion.
Right. And the evidence of exoplanets, which, as you know, the first exoplanet was in 1995, confirmed. Now, today, what we understand in the last 30 years, our view of the universe has been flipped, hasn't it? Now we know that every star that we look at in our backyard has at least one planet.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like for real, as a fact.
Yeah,
that's a game changer in of itself, isn't it?
Oh, it's mind-boggling. I mean, spacecraft now are finding planets left and right. So there's 2,000 to 3,000 to maybe 4,000 planets now that have been found.
The numbers like over 10,000.
Oh, that much now.
Well, and here's the crazy part with that, and I'm not contradicting you. You are correct. What I am saying is, out of the 5,000 or 6,000 confirmed and verified exoplanets, there's another 5,000 or 10,000 that are still waiting to be confirmed and cataloged.
Oh my God!
And that. And every single day with all of the satellites and, of course, the observatories here on Earth, they know it's a time thing. It's a numbers thing. They know if you look at a star, you're going to find an exoplanet. It's finding the time to get to it. The real number is trillions. We just don't have the time to get to them all.
In fact, it is. And therefore, there's a lot of planets out there that have intelligent life on them. The statistics say that. And my experience is, yes, that's very true.
If that is the case, which it is the case, that's where I stand on this. The universe itself, the observable universe, is one thing, and then there's the stuff that we can't see and never will see. Everything's expanding faster than the speed of light on the fringes of the universe, and we will never ever know what that is because it's gone. It's faster than the speed of light, which then turns it into infinite, right? Infinite planets, infinite that the amount of life out there is something that we really can't wrap our head around. Infinite's a really, really, really big number, right? Yeah, and do you expect what when it comes to contact and the types of life forms, what do you envision that to be? Bipedal? Everything is just crazy, or are they much like us?
Okay, so I will talk from experience. So my experience is accessing people's soul records, the Akashic Records, and looking at what do they look like on their home planet, what's their form, and what are the forms like on their home worlds. And most of what I found are the beings on their home planets people that live on Earth whose souls originated, or they first experienced uniqueness and identity as them on their home planet in another star system. And what they look like are mostly humanoid, 2 arms, 2 legs, but the head would look different. And there are some of these people, and these are in really high vibration dimensions. And some of these folks who I do a reading for, and what does their form look like on their homeworld, are just an energy form, and they can shape shift into a physical form or a form that can swim in the water, and there's water in those dimensions. I've come across swimming creatures, and even in one reading, which was really amazing, I came across an octopus on a planet orbiting the star Sirius B. And in this particular reading, what I got was that this octopus was like a mentor to this person. And the person's natural form was an energy form, and she could take the form of a walk on the land or swim in the water or fly over it, very high vibration environment. So her form could be manifested through intention. And this octopus creature was highly intelligent. And he told me that he was a mentor for her on her home world. And he gave me a name. And my friend who was sitting next to me on the couch said, yeah, that resonates. And she said, Greg, it's just crazy, because she said, I've always loved octopuses. I even have octopuses on my pajamas. You know?
If there is, if we, oh man, I'm so twisted. If we want evidence, Neil deGrasse Tyson has recently flipped, but I would always use him for an example. If Neil deGrasse Tyson came to me and said, you know what, Church, whatever, give me some proof that ET was here, I go, dude, octopus. It's right there. Right? That is octopi are aliens. That's the only way to look at it. That's it. That's it. That's it. I will never. It's okay to change your mind. It is, but I will never change my mind on that. No, I just won't do it. How do you? Well, go ahead.
Two other creatures to talk about, and that's dolphins and whales.
For sure. Yeah.
Now, I've been on Native American Vision Quest ceremony in Lakota Sioux tradition many times. And on 3 of those particular vision quests, I saw in my mind's eye a starry background with a dolphin and a whale. And this was 3 different years. And so that just told me, hey, these guys are extraterrestrial. They're from a number of different planets. It's not just Earth.
You know what? AI is going to figure out how to understand and translate animal languages, right? And whale and dolphin will be up there first. And okay, so what did the dolphin say? The dolphin said, "We are adults," right? You guys. That's what the dolphins are going to say. Yeah, for sure. Reminds me of a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, right? That, you know, the opening part of the book and the movie, dolphins just laughing at us. Take me through your mind. How do you live a pragmatic life as a NASA engineer, right? Ones and zeros, black and white, math, algorithms, right? Into this. You can't talk to your friends about it, I'm sure. You know what I mean? Oh, this robotic arm is going to work perfect on the space shuttle. But by the way, have you read your Akashic Records lately? You can't do that at work.
You know, it all started in high school, basically, and even before that, Jimmy. I saw a UFO go slowly over my house when I was 13.
What did you see? What did you see?
It was nighttime. The window was open. I was I was in the bathroom at the time, and it's August or so, so the window's open, the shades up, and I just happened to notice some lights in the sky just near the rooftop. So I looked out the window, and there were, I remember 2 or 3 bright lights, colored lights on the bottom of this craft. They were solid color. They were not flashing or anything. I noticed a low pitch hum. It was hard to make out the outline of the craft against the dark sky. Guess it wasn't moonlit. And it moved slowly over the house. Half of it had, it seemed like half of it or part of it had already gone over the house. And it moved really slow. And this was only, I would say 10, 20, 30 feet at the most above the rooftop in a suburban neighborhood in Massachusetts. And it didn't have a helicopter, wop wop sound to it. There's no airports nearby. And so I was like, this is a UAP is what we would call it now, an unidentified aerial phenomenon. So that was something that was amazing. And it, after that, in high school, I started exploring esoteric topics, meditation, looking at the 7 main chakras in my body and understanding my energy field. I started working with my sleeping dreams. I was exploring energy work in my energy field, like starting to feel it. And I was interested in out-of-body travel. So I
what year was this?
This was all probably I was 16 years old. So what year was this? That would have been 61 plus 16.
Oh, you're older than me?
Yeah, I was
thought
born
you were
61.
younger than me. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So 16 and 61, you weren't smoking pot yet. Or was well, maybe you were. I don't know. But what I mean is, what I mean by that is, it's funny. We can joke about pot today. You remember it was such a sensitive subject before, but
Yeah.
what I mean by that is you weren't exploring other things too as well. This is 1961. So you were of sound mind and body when you saw this flyover.
Oh, so much so. Yeah, I was 13 when I saw that, and I was 16 when I started really looking at metaphysics, and that's when my exploration of dimensions and levels of consciousness started back then. So I do write in my book, Star Journey Home, I write about my intuitive development so people can see how did I get to the point where I could work with the Akashic Records and come up with this amazing, fantastic information and make it sound like it's valid.
What books were you reading on these subjects in 61, 62, 63? What was out there at that time?
I was born in 61. So we're talking 1977, 78. I graduated from high school in 79. So in that time period.
Oh, so we are the same age. Okay. Yeah. I misheard you. Okay. I misheard you. I thought that there's no way he's 80. Right?
That's for damn sure.
but okay. So now that frames it a little bit differently. 1977, of course you were smoking pot. Mm-hmm. You were going to those Kiss concerts. Okay, so yeah. What were you reading in 1977?
My mom turned me on to the Seth material, Jane Roberts books. And Seth was, higher consciousness entity who explained that he was just a non-physical form and of consciousness. And he was not part of her subconscious. And he shared about the nature of reality and consciousness. And that stuff blew my mind. I read Bob Monroe's first book, Journeys Out of the Body, I think, about that time. And I read
Carlos Castaneda.
Yep, I read his books, and then Edgar Cayce books. on Atlantis and the Akashic Records. And little did I know I'd be working with the Akashic Records. I started working with them in 1993 and never looked back.
Yeah, Jane Roberts.
Yeah, amazing stuff.
Jane Roberts. When you look at there's a few videos that are out there, probably shot on film, of interviews with her, and also when she's channeling Seth, and the transition that she made from being Jane to the channeling subject, to see that go on was just absolutely incredible. She was amazing. Jane Roberts, man. I still read those books all the time. Groundbreaking stuff. When you applied at NASA, I'm not making light of this. It's a real question. Do they ask you those things?
No.
Do they ask you if you've ever seen a UFO? Do they ask you if you've read Seth Speaks? Right? Do they you know what I mean? Are they interested in that type of background?
No. In the security check, some people did contact my family and some friends and ask them about me, just to make sure I was of sound mind and that there wasn't anything that could be used to blackmail me, that kind of thing.
Right.
I did have an opportunity at the beginning of my career to work on secret projects for NASA, for the military, and shortly after that, I chose to work on non-classified projects so that I could talk about them to my friends and family. So that was the only time really when they checked in on me, and so they found I was of sound mind, which was great. And I started working for NASA in my senior year of college as an intern.
Did you want to be an astronaut like all of us? Yeah.
Totally. That was in my plan. And I got into Air Force ROTC in my freshman year of college and decided I did not like it. It wasn't for me. I was more wired for esoterics and meditation and consciousness exploration and being a civilian. I really wasn't interested in the military life. So I discarded the dream of becoming an astronaut, and I figured, well, I'll just get a job working for NASA, ideally in building spacecraft, and that's what I managed to get. Now, I'll tell you, I lived my dream job.
Yeah, for sure. And you also were in a very unique position with a deep interest in the metaphysical and consciousness, and then also dealing with the engineering side of space and spacecraft, where you get to maybe apply some of your private research into thoughts about ET and how they could travel and how we could communicate with them. That must have been great.
Yeah, I tell you, I even got to take an astronomy class in college. So using my understanding of space, the space program and astronomy really helped when I was thinking about the concept of extraterrestrials and how would they travel, and what about other dimensions? How do they travel from so far away and get here? Pleiadians, have been coming to this planet forever, and the Pleiades is 450 light years away, meaning it would take 450 years to get here at the speed of light. I mean, they talk about getting here in minutes. And I did an amazing Akashic record reading for a friend who already knew that her form on her homeworld was a mantis. They look like a praying mantis. The head does and the body somewhat. And I looked into her soul record and found that her home star system is like 60 million light years from here. It's in the Virgo cluster of galaxies. It's not even in our local cluster of galaxies.
No,
how the heck did they get here?
Right.
But those beings, they do.
Yeah. Let's stay right there. it is knowing what we can theorize on now about how this is happening, and then we look at the current state of our own evolution. And you worked at NASA, you know what's going on. And today with SpaceX and the other things that we're using to get off planet, will we eventually achieve the same level as our ET brothers and sisters, and then head out there 450 light years away?
Yeah, we'll get there. Human consciousness is evolving. The Earth, from what I'm told from Native Americans and from Central American cultures and from my mentor and also other spiritual people, that the Earth is going through an ascension process right now where it's raising in consciousness and vibration, and the humans will go along with it if they want to, and those that don't want to raise in that vibration will leave the planet in some way. And so we'll have evolved more highly evolved beings incarnating on the planet. We've already got kids that are just mind-boggling capabilities in the area of metaphysics and working with energy and intuition and being psychic. So we've got that going for us. And then once we are able to, I think, rid the planet of negativity, where people evolve and they stick around and the negative ones leave, then we will have mainstream applications of high technology that we're not allowed to utilize right now because it's all being kept top secret, and the public's being prevented from using it. And these would be energy machines. These would be anti-gravity devices that can propel craft faster than the speed of light, and maintain positions over the planet if they want, just bobbing on the magnetic field using anti-gravity. So all of that's going to show up. We just need to grow up as a species.
Do we have craft that we're reverse engineering?
Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat as you probably on this, where we look at so many people that have been interviewed that were in these secret projects. Bob Lazar, Area S4, Area 51, back engineering spacecraft, figuring out how they operate using an isotope of uranium that doesn't show up naturally. You have to manufacture it, apparently. Lots of ET craft have been back engineered, and we really do need to be careful when we look up in the sky and if we see a UFO. Is it made in USA or is it ET? It could be either one.
What do you think of that craft that you saw when you were 13? Was that ET or was that us?
I believe that was ET.
Is there a reason for that? I can go either way. I haven't seen a black triangle. I kind of have. That's another story for another time. But I can't wait until one day when I do.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if I'm going to know what I'm looking at, if it's us or them.
Right. So with that craft, I saw it and I knew that I couldn't explain it. And I just said, okay, do I have any missing time? I'm seeing a spacecraft, and I thought, well, nobody's banging on the door telling me I've been in here too long. I was in the bathroom. And I figured I did not have missing time. But, 50 years later, Jimmy, my mentor asked me, my mentor in the area of extraterrestrials and Akashic record work, Leah Stansel, she's in West Virginia. And she asked me, hey, Greg, have you ever seen a UFO? And I said, yeah, when I was 13. And I explained it to her. And I said, do you have any sense about what that might have been? Because she's very intuitive and she has a reader of the Akashic records as well. I have a reader of the Akashic records. I call on him when I want to access a record. His name is Abraham, and he'll open people's records for me. And she checked in with her reader of the Akashic Records, and he said that was a craft from your home world, your home planet, and they were coming to check on you, make sure check on you in whatever way they do. They probably scanned me, but I had no sense of that.
Can we stay here for a second? Can we
Sure.
just stay right here? When you say home world, your home world, do we all have a home world? Do I have a home world?
Yes, sir. We all come from somewhere. So, and I do explain this very well in my book so that people understand this concept. And I'll tell you, Jimmy, I haven't found any other books that talk about this concept of home worlds and the oversoul. And the way this works is, when the Big Bang occurred, all these consciousnesses were manifested. All the souls were created at the same time, is what I'm told. And the angels are the consciousnesses that didn't want to forget who they were. They were God essence. And so God said, okay, you can remain unveiled. You'll be what we call angels. And then all the other consciousnesses took up station in different dimensions and different levels of vibration, and some were in dimensions that were much higher, that are much higher than ours on Earth, and some took up station on planets in this planetary realm, like Earth, their density planets, and they were told, when they wanted to have offspring, that the offspring would need to come directly from their own soul essence. And so on my home planet in Andromeda Galaxy, when this particular being wanted to have an offspring, he created the offspring from his soul essence. He took some of his aspects of consciousness, gave them uniqueness and identity, free will and choice as an offspring. And that's how I was manifested. So I could stand in front of him and look at him, but yet I was part of his own soul. And science is starting to recognize the possibility, the validity of aspects of material, atoms and subatomic particles having a connection, but not being in the same place. That they're connected, but they're not in the same physical space. So science is catching up with this idea. So then that's my home planet. That's where I first experienced uniqueness and identity as me. And then I got on the wheel of karma and I came to Earth and I'm helping out. So what the Akashic Records show me is that everybody I've read for, and I've read for over 100 people, their home planet is not Earth. Now, my mentor says her guides say that 30% or so of the people on Earth have Earth as their home planet.
Oh, is that right? That was my next question.
Yeah.
Are you telepathic? Are you telepathic? That was my next question.
Well, we all are telepathic to some degree. We have that intuitive ability. And I use telepathy when I want to communicate with my reader of the Akashic Records or extraterrestrials, or spirit guides. We all have these intuitive abilities of intuitively feeling, which is clairsentience, clear knowing, where we just know information, like it could come across telepathically. That's claircognizance. And then clairvoyance, where you see from your third eye, or you see in your mind's eye something that's maybe it's not even in the physical realm, or it is in the physical realm, but it's beyond your physical sight. That's clairvoyance. And then there's clairaudience, where you hear the information. And sometimes we hear a voice like it's somebody standing next to us saying it. And that's really mind blowing, when you hear a voice like that, but it's not there. That's clairaudience.
Someone called that insanity too, as well.
Yeah, like you wear a shirt that says, "I hear voices," and I talk back.
That's my new website. I hear voices in my head.com will be my next website. Let me say, I don't hear voices. I talk to myself all the time, but but I don't hear voices. I don't know what that's like, except a year ago. This is crazy. A year ago, I hadn't done DMT yet. And I just did, I've done it 3 times since, but at that time I just wrapped a show with Andrew Gallimore, who's, he's a neuroscientist who lives in Tokyo, but he's written some of the best books on DMT, and had him on as a guest. And I end the show, and Greg, as sure as I'm sitting here talking to you, right? I end the show, studio's silent, take off my headphones, and I hear this, call Paul Hynek.
Oh my.
I was like, okay. I picked up the phone and called Paul, and he goes, it's time. I said, yeah, man. Voice just told me to call you. And he's laughing. I was being serious, right? It was like right in my ear. It was bizarre.
Yeah, it does happen that way sometimes. Yep.
Yeah, I'm fully woo. Look at my shirt, man. I'm fully woo. I
You're
ride a
full
Harley. Yeah, I ride a Harley. I listen to Pantera. I love my heavy metal. I love my woo.
And you've played all those guitars behind you.
I have. I've played them all. Every guitar that I have, I don't want to get too sideways into this. Every guitar that I have is because I love that guitar and I want to play it. I don't trade. I don't sell. It's not an investment. It's not that. Everything that I have, it's just something that's really, really cool. And I enjoy playing it. So yeah, I just happen to like to play a lot.
And I play guitar too, and I sing, and I play with my buddies at venues, and I have 2 CDs of original music out too. So,
well, when you're creative, you're creative. What kind of guitars? What's your favorite guitar? What do you play?
I have a Taylor.
Oh, so you're an acoustic guy?
Yeah.
I don't have an acoustic guitar. No, that's not true. I have stuff like this. Hold on. Let me roll over to this side of the studio. Oh, I'm completely out of the picture.
There you go.
And this is a Fender Acoustasonic Strat with a nice wooden alien head on it. But beautiful guitar, sounds great. It's fun. And I have a couple of those. I have a Telly too as well. I have 335s and stuff like that. But no real acoustics. I don't have a Taylor or a Martin. It would be, for me, I wouldn't play those guitars. So why buy one if it's just going to sit there? Let somebody else buy it that's going to play it and love it. But that's great. And when you're creative, you're creative. Do you think, let's get right back into this. Do you think that creative people, doesn't matter, musicians we can talk about specifically, but creative people, that they know how to naturally go into the zone where they create, right? You get in the zone, right?
Yep.
Musicians talk about that all the time. Well, that is tapping into your consciousness, isn't it? So then the Akashic Records or channeling or a conscious connection to ET or whatever, and then seeing stuff, that's much easier for artists, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Because we're opening up these channels to levels of receptivity in our brain. We're open.
Right. Well, the title of your book I love. And so let's get back to this, which is, Star Journey Home. Connect with your home planet. All right. You just said 30% roughly. I know it's subjective. 30% of us here on Earth is our home planet. Could I be one of those? Or do you think that because of my openness, that I would have a home planet elsewhere? And does that mean that I would be a hybrid?
You could be from Earth. This could be your home planet. Um, if you were your soul, your oversoul, the higher part of your soul, like the parent, like I mentioned on my home planet, you're from what my oversoul tells me how it works for people who's have Earth as their home planet. They are manifested on a higher plane than the physical plane that we have right here that we're in. So there's many dimensions that are associated with our universe. And for Earth, there's multiple dimensions. There's the astral plane and higher dimensions. So somewhere in there is where the manifestation of the offspring occurs if Earth is their home. And then they lower their vibration down into physical form to be born here. So that's how that works. And the physical parent on Earth is not necessarily associated with the oversoul in any way. They're just a person having a child. And then yes, so it works like that. So when people wonder where they're from, it's not a question of, is there ET DNA in their physical body in this life? That really doesn't matter so much. It's where did they first experience uniqueness and identity as them, as a spirit? That's their home and always will be in every lifetime. So a person can always connect into their home planet regardless of which lifetime they're in, which is a really interesting concept. We're always on the home world. It gets into that topic of, well, are all the lifetimes happening at the same time? People have talked about that.
Right.
And it's like, well, it points toward that being true. So it does get more woo-woo.
Is there stereotyping that goes on? You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
His home planet is Earth.
Or he's a reptilian on his home
yeah,
planet.
right. He's from Sirius B, and you know what they're all about. Is there stereotyping that goes on? Are there cooler areas?
Absolutely, Jimmy. Like I've come across people, friends whose home world form is a gray, and they're intelligent grays, and they have compassion and they have heart, and so they're working to make life better for their people, and they're grays. And then I've come across two people whose homeworld form is reptilian. And I've also communicated with beings from Alpha Centauri, our next closest star system. And there's lots in my book about that. I have a chapter entitled Alpha Centauri. And they took me out of body twice on Native American Vision Quest ceremonies, took me up to the craft, fully conscious. And so the two people that are reptilian, people would say, oh, you're reptilian on your homeworld. That means you must be kind of a lower vibration being, but that's not the case. It works like this on this one person's home world. His higher self name is Jonah, and it fit so perfectly for him. I got, while doing his Akashic record reading, and he was resonating with everything I got, and I was able to have him sense his home planet and his connection to his oversoul, because I can tune into it and then have that energy connect it to the client and have them feel it. And most of the time the client can sense it and they feel the resonance. And in any case here, on his home world, his people are warriors, and they do have a warring mentality. But on higher levels of consciousness, these beings are divine essence from God. Just like all of us, it doesn't matter what our role is on our home world. On higher levels of consciousness, we are all divine essence, and we're all equal. We play different roles in different dimensions for different reasons to experience and express for God. If God wanted to experience itself, he'd create beings of all kinds and have experiences coming in to the God essence to show, well, what is it like to be negative? What is it like to be positive? So on higher levels, even if you're reptilian and you're warring on your home planet, you on higher levels of consciousness, you are a divine being, divine essence. There was another person, a woman who I read for. She knew that she was a reptilian in a past life on Earth, and she was a soldier, and she was supposed to protect a military person that was reptilian from her planet, and she actually got to Earth too late, and he had been killed by another group of reptilians on the planet. And I'll tell you, there are statuettes that have been found in Iraq of reptilian beings, and one of them has got a little baby who's breastfeeding. So these statues exist, and so it validates the idea that reptilians used to be here. And she was telling me about this story, and I called in my spirit gang to help out if I could give her any support emotionally or through the Akashic Records. And that's what came through. And there was a being from her home race that came in over my shoulder. And he said to tell her that, hey, it's not your fault. You did the best you could. And we did some healing work on that during that session, because I intuitively saw swords with blood on it, and she was experiencing things. And so we worked through that trauma. She was traumatized over that. And when we finished, after talking for an hour, she said she felt better, and she had only shared part of this story with one other person. So she had felt led to share with me, I guess, because of my openness and my talking about connections with extraterrestrials. So she shared her story, and she said her homeworld people are in Andromeda Galaxy as well. And she told me the name of her people, the Nazdanya. And I checked in, and I got in the Akashic Records that was indeed true and correct, that is a valid name for people that are reptilian. And so her people, her reptilians were positive. There's a negative reptilian race that killed this military man. And so you can see there are both. There's good ones, there's negative ones. It just seems to be you get that across the universe.
It has to be that way.
universes.
Yeah, it has to be that way.
Yeah.
There isn't another way to look at it. Black and white, hot and cold, positive and negative, the balance, the scales. It's just right. Antimatter, matter. Right.
Yeah.
It's just the way it works. It has to be that way. And you brought up a good point. I want to address. We've got 60 seconds before the break. How do you know what is good or what is evil, and to what degree, unless you experience it?
Right.
If you live in a world of pure divine goodness all the time, then you don't know what bad is. You don't know what.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
you're dealing with different levels of goodness. So I guess some not so good goodness, it would be evil to somebody. You know what I mean?
I know it's all relative,
It's all relative. Let's take our break right here. Greg Martins is our guest, former NASA engineer, and the new book is out. We've got the links up for it too as well, and you can go and check it out, Finding Your Home Planet. We will be right back after this short break. Greg, stay right there. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black. Stay with us.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Get your alerts and access to over 2,000 videos. Click that subscribe button right now.
Contact in the Desert is back. Come see a legendary lineup of iconic speakers, including George Knapp, Jeremy Corbell, Daniel Sheehan, George Norrie, Whitley Strieber, Chris Ramsey, Dr. Diane Hennessy Powell, and many more. Join us in beautiful Indian Wells, California, May 28th through June 1st, as we explore infinite realms. Get your tickets now at contactinthedesert.com.
I'm heading back to the Midwest for the Contact Modalities Expo, May 1st through the 3rd, 2026, in Delavan, Wisconsin, at the Lake Resort. It is beautiful. This is a great conference right in the heart of the Midwest, where I'm from. I'll see you there. Just go to Contact Modalities Expo, that's XPO.com. I will be hosting and presenting once again at Contact in the Desert. That's May 28th through June 1st, 2026, the largest UFO conference in the world. Come and hang out with us June 23rd through July 1st. Tickets and everything else that you need is at contactinthedesert.com. Want to change your life? Want that paradigm shift? Then visit Peru with Brian Forrester and myself for the Inca Celebration of the Sun, June 23rd through July 1st, 2026. A full 10 days of visiting the country, all the amazing sights, and of course, the celebration of the winter solstice. It's all simple to do. Go to hiddenincatours.com. Come join us for the Monty Python Scotland Tour, August 1st through the 9th, 2026. This is a once-in-a-lifetime event where you get to go to the castles from Monty Python and the Holy Grail. August 1st through the 9th, 2026. Just visit HaleyARamsey.com.
Watch Into the Vortex on Gaia TV. It's fade to black for the screen. Simple to do. Go to Gaia.com, search Jimmy Church, or click on the link below. Follow Fade to Black on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Get all of the show updates every single day. It's now called X, but who cares? Go to JimmyChurchRadio.com and become a Fader Nut. Get membership. That's right. Everything is commercial free. You have access to downloads, and you get to call yourself a Fader Nut. River Moon Coffee, makers of the Fade to Black blend. Truly the best coffee on planet Earth. Just visit rivermoonwellness.com or their Amazon store. It's all simple to do. You can check out the Fade to Black blend, the Game Changer blend, or any of their Black Moon Wellness products. It's the only coffee I drink. It is the best, and it's Doc. Again, rivermoonwellness.com.
All right. Welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Yeah. Fade to Black blend coffee. It is the best. Head over to Amazon. Just search Fade to Black blend coffee, Jimmy Church. It'll pop right up there in the Amazon store. It's the best. It's the only coffee with my picture on it. All right. Go and get it. It's the best coffee in the world. It's all that I drink. Remember those commercials? Remember those back in the day? All right. Our guest tonight, Greg Martins, his book, Star Journey Home, Connect with Your Home Planet, is out now. The links for it are up. If you guys could, Jessica, John, and Bill, pop that up again in the chat, the link over to Greg's website. That would be amazing. Back to it. Greg, let's do some foundational stuff for a second on the Akashic Records for those that may not know. I have always pictured, not always, it's changed now, but back in the day, I would picture the Akashic Records like racks and rows of Dewey Decimal System drawers from the library, right? And that's how I pictured it. What is the Akashic Records? And is it like that at all?
I guess our mind interprets the energy in a way that we can comprehend. I've always visualized the Akashic Records as being a huge library too, with really tall bookcases and big books. The books being like 11 by 17 size pages.
Right.
And you put it on the holder there, and you know, I would imagine my mind imagines it like that, so because it's giving me a way of understanding that it's very vast, that there's probably an infinite number of records in there, and so my mind sees huge book stacks that go on forever. So it's kind of like that's how our brain perceives it, right? So when I first started working with the records, I called in my reader of the records, who was assigned to work with me. He agreed to work with me. He works with the Akashic Records. He starts to take care of them, and he would tune me into the records, and we would practice looking at records. But what are the Akashic Records? It's basically an energy library of everything that's ever happened in the universe or other universes. Everything that's ever happened, every place that's ever existed, every person that's ever existed. So anything that ever had energy exists in the Akashic Records. Apparently, the energy imprints don't go away. Like when we experience something, say a trauma in as a child, that energy always exists, and it carries on, and sometimes it affects us as an adult. It can even affect us in another lifetime. I've found that in the Akashic Records, where some people's illnesses in this life, including 2 of my own physical issues I had, were generated from another lifetime. And I was able to heal myself by working out that energy, the trauma energy, and neutralizing it, and my physical ailments in this life went away. So they are organized energy records of everything that's ever happened, every person. So everybody has their own soul record or Akashic record. And these energies are organized by beings, spirits, that's their job. They work on organizing the records somehow. And they can be helpful by helping people access records. Now, Edgar Cayce is one of America's most famous psychics. In the mid-1900s, he had been doing Akashic record readings for people for many years. He did 14,000 readings for people. I don't know how he did that, but he apparently did that. And all these Akashic record readings are in binders for the public to look at the Edgar Cayce Foundation in Virginia Beach, Virginia, the Association for Research and Enlightenment. And I have been there, and he would go into a trance. He would lay down on a couch, and he would go into a trance, and he would tell people answers to their questions. Their questions were about health and prosperity, love, and other in health. And he would look into the record. He was able to tell them what they could do to heal their illness, if they had an illness, and where did it originate. And medical doctors actually gained respect for him because the remedies that he proposed worked, and some of them were very odd. And so he wrote books on his topics that he explored in the Akashic Records, or one on Atlantis. He wrote a book about the Akashic Records, etc. So he made the Akashic Records popular. So it's not just something unique that I work with.
It's also something that science talks about, and Stephen Hawking and other brilliant minds and physicists, where they say information never goes away.
Right.
Right? It is always here.
Yeah.
It,
It's
well, what
preserved.
about a, yeah. What about a black hole? Spaghettification. Yeah, okay, but the information is still there.
Still there.
Yeah, and that again, I always go back to the science, right? What does the science say about this?
Yeah.
And that's the fascinating part. It's okay. All right, our woo-woo community, talks about this stuff, which I totally dig. And then you go back to science, and science is saying the exact same thing.
I never found a contradiction between science and what I'm doing. And these
Right.
ideas of multiple dimensions, multiple levels of consciousness. I use discernment techniques to validate and verify what I'm doing, and so that I know it's not just in my head. I look for validations and corroborations and verifications from clients to as ways to validate the information that I'm presenting. So everything in my book has got some support to it, either from my own discernment techniques, or from what other people are saying or giving me feedback. Yes, that resonates. Or other people have experienced what I've experienced, especially on Vision Quest. Multiple people would be involved in experiencing what's going on for me while I'm on the hill alone by myself, and spirit's working with me.
You mentioned Alpha Centauri, and the in the search for exoplanets, for a minute there, it's kind of chilled out, but that there is a Goldilocks situation that is happening out there, and there is a possibility for life, and it's just 4.5 light years away. It is our closest neighbor.
Right.
What do you make of that? And is that also, the possibility of somebody here on Earth, that being their home planet? And
Yeah.
why wouldn't it be? Because it is just so close.
Right. There's the research that I have seen to date, and I haven't looked recently to see what else might have been found using spacecraft about Alpha Centauri. Like, what other planets have they found? There was one planet in particular, I think, they found around Alpha Centauri. One of the stars there's 3 stars in the Alpha Centauri system that have been identified. And the one that they looked at, they said, the radiation levels are just too high for people to exist on the planet that orbits it. So they said, so that's kind of a bust. But then there's probably other planets, and maybe you've heard recently that there's another planet that they found, and perhaps that is around a star that's not putting out too much radiation, and we could actually live on it. A friend of mine wrote a book about her experiences with beings from Alpha Centauri, and that's her home star system is Alpha Centauri, and she wrote a big book on it called Emergence. And unfortunately, it's not really available to purchase. I've looked everywhere. I have a copy, and she was the one that turned me on to the idea of beings from Alpha Centauri. And then I started getting in touch with these beings through my oversoul. I asked him if he would connect me, and he said yes, it was okay for me to do that. And then eventually these beings took me out of body on my Vision Quest. So we know these beings are real. They come to Earth. They have worked with her. She passed away recently, but she had interaction with them, mostly in a non-physical way. They have a hybridization program going on Earth. So that would mean that their race is trying to survive. And so they're hybridizing with humans to help in that matter.
Right after the discoveries at Alpha Centauri, I'm going to go back about maybe 7 years. So as that news started to break, maybe about 3 months later after that, where it was suggested that that particular exoplanet was actually tidally locked and was facing the star, right? Okay, so where would the life be? But it was in the Goldilocks zone. And then they had like the gnarliest solar flare
Oh,
in recent history. And so what was on that planet is now charcoal, right? So did you hear anything? Were there any survivors? Have you talked to anybody about that?
now we're talking about a planet around Alpha Centauri, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything. I haven't looked up Alpha Centauri stuff in months and months.
Yeah. Well, look into it. Yeah, get back to me. Circle back. I mean,
Okay.
Did they go underground and so forth? The the action that is happening right now, we just had the last 7 days, as you know, has been pretty incredible for our community. We just had a press conference on the steps of the Capitol building with David Grush and Burchett, and
Yeah.
James Fox was there, Leslie Kane. They all spoke. Incredible. I just did a special over on Gaia this week about it. And if you want to go check that out, you can over on Gaia. But there was that. One of the missing scientists, Maria Casillas, her body has been found. That happened last week in New Mexico. Incredible. The mystery around her is pretty nuts, and the position of her body and everything. And there was a handgun that was found next to her. There was that. And then on Friday, we got our third wave of UFO files and videos from the Department of War. That dropped. And then Friday night, Steven Spielberg, Disclosure Day. That was a lot. That was a lot for our community to absorb in a 7-day period, wasn't it? Yeah.
Right.
What do you make of the last 7 days?
Oh, I love it. It's definitely it's bringing the concept of extraterrestrials mainstream, because it's at the theater. This is a a top rate movie talking about ETs again, and Disclosure Day from Spielberg. It really shows how our government and military handled the idea of people being exposed to extraterrestrials and having visitations. And the cover-up policy that continues today in the United States, it exposes that. And you have to go see the movie to figure out if these ETs are benevolent or not. So,
have you seen it? Have you seen the movie?
I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah. My question is, I've seen it. I saw it on Friday with a group of friends, and then we all went out to dinner after that. And my daughter joined us. She saw the movie the night before. And we just sat around and discussed the film. And one of the takeaways that I have, if you are an experiencer at any level, okay, and maybe you've been holding it in, maybe you're out of the closet now, but are people being triggered by this film? Does an experiencer go and watch a film like that and come away different than when they walked into the theater? I think that's a really interesting observation that we're going to be dealing with in the days, weeks, and years ahead, because the film is that powerful.
Yeah, I think it would be triggering. I tell you, when I went to see Saving Private Ryan years ago, I had an emotional response to that movie. I, out of the blue, had no understanding where it came from. I broke down and was sobbing and crying, and it was rather emotional about it, and I didn't understand why. I don't know if I was tuning into people's energy or as a past life recall, but it was triggering. Yeah, so you just never know what's going to trigger a person.
You know what triggered me? The movie 300. Do you remember that? It was about the Spartans.
I don't.
Okay. Anyway, that matters not. But it was a great film. But I remember watching that, going, I think I was there.
Yeah.
I couldn't escape that. I ended up watching that film so many times, and I related to all of it. And I don't know where that's coming from.
Past life.
Yeah.
You know, I have
I've
past life memories. Civil War, I was one of them.
Have you done a regression?
Yeah.
What did you find out?
Gosh, I mean, it's been a number of them. I tell you, one of them where I did the healing work here. I had experienced, well, I had a year worth of ulnar neuropathy in my left arm. And it got so bad at times I couldn't really go for a walk or play guitar or swim or do anything with it because it would hurt. And I went under hypnosis, and I had an inclination that the damage in this arm was a result of my ship going down as a fisherman around the time of Christ. I was a fisherman, and then we got in a storm, and the boat went down, and somehow it damaged my arm. Other intuitives had told me that, so it wasn't just one, and it wasn't in my head. So I go into hypnosis training, and I ask the woman who I'm working with, I said, hey, let's try a hypnosis session where you bring me back to that lifetime, and we'll see if we can work out the pain that's in my arm and get rid of it. And so she did. She brought me back, and I started experiencing myself as a fisherman, and the energy and the storm and the mast fell on my arm. So what we did was we worked out healing that trauma and seeing my arm whole, and my arm was perfectly fine. And we worked out the emotional trauma and the forgiveness and everything. And then I tell you, Jimmy, within 2 weeks, my nerve in my arm was perfectly normal after that. It went completely away. And it had been with me for a full year. And so going back and working out the trauma from a past life healed it. So that's one good example of being able to work out the energies from a past life.
One of the things that I have worked on, and it came to me naturally, I didn't really talk to anybody about this, but I found myself being triggered by certain things, visuals, where I would see, and I could feel my body react to it. And I went away for about 4 days and working. And on this particular trip, I didn't check the internet. I didn't watch. There wasn't a TV in my hotel room. I was in a bungalow. And so there was nothing, there was no media around me. And I came back off of that trip, felt great. Everything's great. And I'm walking through my house, and I flick on the TV, and there was a news report on, and I see it, and I felt my body go. And I went, I don't like this. And what I found, Greg, and I want your comments on this. I want you to tell me why. but I associated that same feeling with being angry or being mad or reacting to stuff. And I just chose not to get mad or angry ever again at anything. All right. Now, I haven't felt anger in 5 years.
Wow.
I mean, like, I just avoid it. I don't care. I literally don't care. Now, could I be angry? Yeah, if something happens and I need to be angry, and that's the natural thing, that's different. But I choose to not get angry. And physically, I have changed.
Yeah.
Right? Do you get what I'm saying? Now, I'm not saying if somebody does something to a friend of mine or a family member and it's in front of me, somebody's going to get hurt. I'm not saying that, right? I'll punch somebody in the throat. But I'm just saying that throughout my day, I don't get upset at anything. And your body reacts to that, doesn't it?
Oh my God. Yeah. It's such a healthy state to be in. You're in positive mode. So your cells are all going to be happy and they're going to be healthy.
I was at the Harley dealer today. One of my bikes is being worked on, getting some cool stuff done to it. It's going to be faster, lighter, meaner. And so I'm there. Bike's not ready. And I'm talking to everybody there, and it was just so funny where they were just trying to make me happy. Well, I said, well, wait, stop. Do I seem angry? No. I said, exactly. Man, don't trip. Whatever. Well, but we're so I'm not everybody else. Oh, don't. No. And that's what I'm saying, right? Others would go, what? And pound their fists on it. What does that get you? Your body reacts to that. The cells in your body react to that. The water in your body, reacts to that. Don't do it, man. Peace and love. It's a better way to go.
You must have been a yogi in a past life.
Possible. I don't think so. I think I was making mud pies in dirty alleys in London with the Romans.
Okay,
I think that's something. I have never let's talk about this for a second. I've done one hypnosis session, but it wasn't for past lives. It wasn't for anything. I just wanted to explore it and do it on camera for the TV show. And it was a lot of fun, but I've never done a past life regression. But I'll tell you this, when I go to ancient sites, like old places, and I do this a lot.
Yeah.
There are moments of absolute clarity that I have been there before.
Yeah.
So the question of a past life, and reincarnation and all of this, I think that's part of the fabric of our reality.
Yeah.
And that's it. And so I'm comfortable with that. I do enjoy it. I'll be walking through some ancient temple complex, something that's, thousands and thousands and thousands of years old. And I know exactly where I'm going. Wow. It's weird, man. It's really weird. I dig it. It's almost like a deja vu.
Yeah.
Right. Have you experienced that?
Yes, sir. I went to Egypt in February last year with a group of people that are metaphysically oriented, and I tell you, the Great Pyramid welcomed me back. I was walking around the north side to the east side, I think, or east to north, one or the other, and I was just with 7 other people and the leader of the group, and I felt this joy welling up in my belly. And I was like, wow, this is interesting. I wonder what this is about. And I knew to pay attention. And when we turned the corner around the other face of the pyramid, I felt this energy come washing down the pyramid, the side of the pyramid, and going into me. And I felt the joy just continue. And it was almost an audible, in my mind, in my head, saying, welcome back. It was that knowing that, and I might have even heard it in my head as a voice, welcome back. And it just felt so natural and familiar. And that was one of several experiences I had at different temples in Egypt.
We could do so many shows on this subject right here. We could just talk for hours on that. But as an engineer, when you first observe the Great Pyramid and you walk up on it, How inspiring is that? It's nuts, isn't it?
Oh, it's crazy.
Were you prepared for that? Yeah, I know you weren't.
How do you get prepared for that? I tell you, the energy of that pyramid was so strong while we were staying at the Mina House Hotel Resort, which is right next to it. We couldn't sleep at night, because the energy was so strong coming off.
Well,
that
plus
pyramid.
you just want to just look out the window the whole time. I always stay at the Mina House, and how bleeping cool is it where you can sit out there and have breakfast with the Great Pyramid right there? I mean, it's like, it's right there. It's not close by. It's like everywhere you walk. It's right in your face.
And you go in there and you're in the king's chamber, and there's huge granite blocks of how many dozens of tons, right? And they're all, matched together precisely. It's like, well, how deep are these blocks in the wall? They're not facade, they're big blocks. That's how they do it. And you wonder, well, when the heck were these pyramids really built? Because we probably couldn't even build them today.
No way. No way. Not only we couldn't, we wouldn't.
Right.
That's the difference. How do you inspire a population to build stuff like that? Right? Because everybody needs to eat. They need to worry about surviving the night. They've got other stuff to do. How do you just stop what you're doing and construct stuff like that?
If there's a need.
Well, today there's no way. You couldn't.
We don't even know what they're for.
No,
right?
No, couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. It's that crazy. Let me ask you about the book. What would somebody get from? What is the need for finding out your home planet?
Well, when I first experienced my oversoul, the higher part of my soul being, he's part of me, he's in my essence, because we share the same soul. So he's right here. And when I tuned into him, I'll tell you, my chakras, my 7 main chakras, the heart, throat, third eye, crown, solar plexus, the abdomen, and then the root, they all went wonky for like a week. And I'd been meditating and connecting in with my oversoul, and he was a spirit guide that I knew. And then I realized he was my oversoul. My mentor told me, hey, Greg, he elbow, he might be your oversoul. Check on it. I was so busy with NASA, I didn't have really the time to put into that kind of a thing. And my chakras went out of balance. And then I called my mentor, Leah, and I said, hey, what's going on? This is really uncomfortable. She said, you're integrating a higher part of your soul essence into your day-to-day consciousness. So your whole energy field is rising in vibration. You're raising to another level of consciousness. So your chakras are adjusting for that energy. She said, in a week, they'll calm down. And she was right. In a week, they stabilized. And at that point, then I was in a higher, my intuition was a little stronger. My energy field was stronger. And so there's 2 benefits right there. Now, having the connection to my oversoul was really grand, because he's the best spirit guide a person can ask for, is your own soul essence. And he knows me from all my lifetimes, everything I do in other levels of consciousness and in other dimensions. He knows everything. So he's the best person to ask for assistance. And he can connect me to any extraterrestrial group if there's a need. It's a non-selfish interest to help somebody. Let's say he can connect me to that ET group quickly, accurately, and safely. So for me, having him to be able to do that is great. Now, the home planet, I asked him if this particular planet called Kezia in Andromeda Galaxy was my home planet, because my mentor said, I think that, nudge, nudge, that's probably your home planet, because she already knew from checking my record and all. And so I asked my oversoul, well, is that my home planet? And what he did to answer the question was he connected me to it. And I felt this thread of energy go out and connect to this planet. And it felt like home. And it felt safe. It felt supportive. It felt nurturing to some degree. It's like it felt like it was cradling me. It was it held an energy for me that was it, and it felt like home. So that was my answer. I was like, yep, that feels like home. So that was the answer. And for anybody who connects to their home world, they're going to feel the same kind of support. And a friend of mine, an acquaintance really, I found her home world, and she actually went into meditation to connect with it and connect with her oversoul. And she said, Greg, connecting into my oversoul and my home planet has made me feel more at home than I've ever felt before. So she was sensing that on higher levels of consciousness. And that's what this stuff is good for, bringing us to that level of home that we want to find on a soul level and on a consciousness level. And there it is. It's available to us. And then there's all these perks, about connecting in and how that helps us in today's world.
Is there is there a guide? Is there an instruction set in the book to do this? Can one purchase the book and then find out how to connect with your home world?
I did not put in a how-to, but in describing how I find the information for people, I'm working with the Akashic Records, so I have that tool. I can get the information from someone's soul record. But I did say in the book that anybody can find this information, their home star system, their home planet, and a name for their oversoul. What do they look like on their home world? They need to simply be able to develop the intuitive sense and then ask their angel and their higher self to bring that information to them. And it can be available to them that way. So they can check in meditation or checking with another Akashic record reader. So they do have the ability to find it themselves.
That's so fascinating to me. And is it ultimately ET arrives here? Well, we know that ET is here. That's not what I'm suggesting. Right. What I am saying is to the world, all right, ET arrives here. And ET tells us that it's not about math or physics, or it's not about this, it's not about that. Everything is consciousness. The entire universe is consciousness. Is that something that the world can accept? When we talk about advancing up to another dimension of being, is consciousness the end game?
The end game would be following your heart and soul calling in the lifetime that you're in, and bringing love in to be your guide. Everybody's got a different purpose on the planet, so some people are meant to develop intuition to a high level and some aren't. Our parents certainly had more of a job that was nuts and bolts compared to people who are our age. We're diving headlong into the higher consciousness. It's just what we're doing on the planet at this time. There's a big awakening. The planet's raising in consciousness and vibration, and the people are going along with it. Here we are, we're waking up. So our genetics are bringing us to that point. So I think that, excuse me, ETs want us to grow up and to learn to get along and to take care of each other. and to become aware of the higher aspects of our own consciousness. Move beyond the technology, be balanced in our connection with spirituality and technology so that we don't hurt ourselves.
Well, isn't that something that we're not ready for? That message? I mean, right now it's all about doom scrolling on your cell phone, right? It's all about social media. And to tell everybody, you know what, you got to put this down. It's not about this. It's not about anti-gravity. It isn't about that. It's just about love.
Yeah.
I mean, I love that. And that's where I am. Here's the thing with that, Greg. I have said this nearly once a week for over a decade. And I say these words. How have I changed? One of the things that I know is a fact is, and I did this sometimes 7 days a week, where I would talk to somebody for 3 or 4 hours without a cell phone. Could you do that? I'm not on my cell phone. I'm not scrolling. I'm talking to you. I'm having a conversation with another human being. Could you do that? Could you put down your phone and just sit with somebody for 3 or 4 hours and talk? We have slowly evolved into the opposite of that.
Yeah.
And I think that's triggering to, I can't do it. But you know what? During dinner, put your phone down. Yeah. You know, they struggle with it, right?
Right.
And lose your cell phone. Lose your cell phone. Forget where you put it and watch how you react for the next 30 minutes until you find your cell phone.
Yeah, it's become an addiction to a lot of people.
To the world.
Yeah.
Not to a lot. To everybody. And that's the crazy. So how have I changed? Well, I feel that it's equivalent to, I have now gone to college for 15 years. I have learned so much, right? And I can only relay that to others. You know, I feel so different today than I'm a different person than I was 20 years ago, for sure.
Oh my God,
and, yeah. And one of those things is, you know what? No, I don't even look at it unless if my daughter texts me during the show, I'll reply. I will for sure. But yeah, it's really strange how that is the message. Love is the answer. Consciousness is key. It's not about technology. And right now, everything is about technology. It's crazy. I don't know how we're going to wean ourselves off of it.
Hey, you know, this one thing I'm feeling is worthwhile talking about with all this, and that's the dream state. What goes on in our dreams and how the dream state gives us access to multiple dimensions and higher levels of consciousness, and how we can connect with ETs and spirits and home planets even through the dream world. And I've had a lot of experiences with ETs through the dream state. And I even had a dream where I was in a car with beings from my home world. And we're all hair covered on our home world. And here I was in a dream where I'm with these people, these beings. And I had not been thinking about my home world or sci-fi or star people or anything. And so that dream just came out of the blue, which helps to validate, you know, the dream, that it wasn't from my subconscious.
Are you saying your home world is Sasquatch? Chewbacca?
We are actually connected to them in some way, but we are not Sasquatches. Our hair cover is flat and smooth, and so it looks nice. It looks like it's well groomed that way, and we're hair covered all over. Our faces even have hair. So in the dream, I'm looking at beings from my home world, and I'm looking at the facial features, like the nose is something somewhat like Chewbacca from Star Wars, where it's a lot flatter than a human nose. Our mouth looks a lot different, though. It's smaller, and we have fingers and toes and legs and arms just like a regular human, and so we look quite humanoid. And the hair is flat and smooth and thicker than than human hair or cat hair or orangutan or something like that. It's not quite as thick as a porcupine, but it's thicker. And I actually was bold enough, Jimmy, to reach over in my dream and run my hand down the arm of the being that was driving the car. And I was really hoping he wouldn't react, negatively. And he didn't. So I was able to feel what does it feel like, the hair. And the driver was a male, and he looked like he was in his 30 and Earth years. And there was an elderly couple sitting in the back seat, and they were sitting close together, and they actually had clothes on. The male driving did not. And I guess that's, you can choose to wear clothes on our home planet or not. So, and the other aspects of the dream were we were driving in like a nice Rambler, from the 70s. It's a beautiful day. It's a nice neighborhood. And we actually went into a house at one point. We appeared in a house, and it was all white. Everything was white, and there was no furniture. So to me, that was a symbolic for spirituality and higher consciousness, that everything was white. And so quite a fascinating dream. And there it was, connecting me to my home planet.
If so many are having these experiences and the experiencers, if that's the case, right now our government is out front with this subject. There must be federal employees, military, NSA, CIA, FBI, it doesn't matter,
right,
that are also experiencers and that know about not only consciousness, but what ET is all about.
Yeah.
It's not limited to the citizens of this planet. It's got to be at every level, doesn't it?
Sure. How many military people experience this? And Linda Moulton Howe talked about Spartan 1 and 2, right? And Antarctica, and going into these, incredibly huge structure in Antarctica. That was not made by humans. That had to be made by ETs, right? And what about
if the government? Well, if the government, we're on limited time, so I just interrupted you on purpose, and I apologize for that.
Yep.
If the government released in the file dumps Spartan 1 and Spartan 2 or stuff about Antarctica, yeah, I think I would freak the frig out.
Yeah.
Because we need that. But the other part is all of these files, the majority of them, some are newspaper articles, but the majority of the reports, 99%, are all military reports.
Yep.
That is very, very, very interesting. It's not, I would love to have Travis Walton in there. I would love to have Betty and Barney Hill. I get all of that. But I think it's even more impressive that what they have chosen to release are actual military reports about sightings and contact.
Yeah,
And
I was just
I
looking at
find
one.
that
Just looking at one today, a report that came out in 2024, and these military guys are coming out of Cheyenne Mountain, or their office in the Cheyenne area, and they look up and they see a UFO, and they describe it, and they got interviewed about it. It's right there.
Wow, how crazy was the description of the craft? They describe it. Now, it was multiple views, multiple witnesses, all describing the same thing, and it happened over a period. But they described it as shaped like a bean, right? So it was indented on the bottom, right? So it had that kind of shape to it. But they described it as having polygonal fish scales with
Yeah,
seams.
right. The
Wow, that was
translucent.
fascinating.
Remember the translucence they said, even, to the craft. It's like, wow. And then five people saw it.
Yeah. At the initial sighting, this is at Cheyenne Bleeping Mountain, man.
Right.
Okay, NORAD, Cheyenne Mountain, the tunnel, the entrance, right? That's where they are. And this craft was above them. They said it wasn't moving, perfectly still. These to be an employee of Cheyenne Mountain, you have gone through every security clearance possible. I'm not getting into Cheyenne Mountain, right? I'm not allowed on the road. Okay. So there's that part. And for them to describe the craft the way that they did, these are professional witnesses. But you know what else they said? It just went poof.
Yeah. Disappear.
They said, look, everyone's gone. That's a pretty impressive. Why for the Department of War, our government, to release that specific file? I go, why? Why that one? And the Western United States files, right, with the orbs coming out and that, we don't know exactly where that was, but we think it was Dugway Proving Grounds up in Utah. But why release that to us? Because that's an incredible encounter, isn't it? Why do you think they released that file?
I know it. It's kind of mind-boggling because they'll release that, but then they'll still try to ridicule anybody that sees a UFO, and they'll send the men in black after them and get them to shut up. So maybe it's some people are they forced to release these files? 77 files, I guess, in the last release. So there's 300 that have been released now or so since early May. There's probably a lot of people in the military that do want this stuff to come out. We certainly know there's a lot of whistleblowers that have been coming forward. They're not protected as well as they should be by our own government to allow them to disclose things that should be disclosed. But maybe a lot of these people, and I assume this is true, there's a lot of people in all areas of our world, in our military and our government, that want this information to come out because they're waking up to, they're becoming more responsible in the spiritual development, and they just want the stuff to come out too. So their hands are tied to some degree.
Let's end the show on this. You worked at NASA for 35 years, and the government has released a certain amount of videos, a certain amount of files. But out of everything that we have, and the Navy you can throw in there, the Air Force you can throw in there. Yes, I get that. But NASA has satellites. We have the International Space Station. They have sensor collection instruments on so many satellites, deep space observation platforms. There's the James Webb Space Telescope and other platform tests and other platforms just like that. If anybody is observing and knows and has this data, it's NASA, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Well, I believe that we have a secret military industrial complex, and it's got back engineered technology from ET Craft and and that they have sensors that go well beyond what NASA's using, and they can sense stuff that NASA doesn't sense. I
But
believe
that's
they're
but I'm not this isn't a gotcha question, Greg. It's that you work there, all
Yep.
right? And I know you understand exactly what I am asking. And that is, out of everybody, NASA has been collecting this data for a very, very long time. And
right.
they have to be sitting on it. It's not a
Yes.
question of if,
Right.
they have to be, right?
Sure. Right. Oh, absolutely. I saw photos of the moon from way back when in the early Apollo missions. And there were things in those photos that were not natural. And then they get airbrushed out, so we don't see them anymore. So yeah, it's been going on for a long time. NASA gets paid by the federal government, so they're going to follow the rules of the government, and the government's official policy is the UFOs don't exist.
Is there a possibility? I'm not talking about the Apollo missions. That's a whole nother story, whole nother show. But is it possible for us to have a space program independent of NASA that could run in secret?
That could run secretly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I believe we have a secret space program going on, and that it's associated with the military-industrial complex. Back engineer stuff, learn how to run those propulsion systems, and then make their own craft and use them. I believe that's going on. So, as I said earlier, we could look up in the sky and, well, is that spacecraft ET or is it made in USA?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, best example of that, right? X-37, X-37B.
Yeah.
That is a secret space program.
Yeah.
With the staff, with the team, with engineers, with pilots, logistics, support, design, launch all of that, and we don't know nothing.
I know.
Right? We don't know. And there are thousands and thousands of people that are involved in that program, and I can tell you right now, not one personnel from that program has come out publicly and talked about it. So don't say that you can't keep a secret. Oh, there's that.
Well,
we know nothing about that program.
And there's even stuff that is available for the public to find if they would look for it. Like, for example, I looked at a photograph that was taken from an orbiter around Mars, and this data was available through University of Arizona, I think, or something. They take care of the Mars orbiter, reconnaissance orbiter, perhaps. Maybe it was that spacecraft. But anyway, I went on to their site, their website, University of Arizona, if that was the correct university. And I looked at this photo. I was looking for a particular photo number because somebody had showed it to me. And it clearly shows a right angle foundation where the sand had been blown off of it. So it was clear that there's a structure there that's not natural. So there it is. It's available to be seen, but NASA's not telling anybody. They keep it hush hush.
Great show tonight, Greg, and great conversation. Where can everybody follow your work? And if they want to talk to you about the Akashic Records, where would they do that?
They can certainly go to my website, gregmartins.com, and shoot me a message. I have a portal there for contact. I also have a Facebook page. Just under Greg Martins. You can follow me there. I post everything there. I do have an Instagram site at Greg Martins. And those are the main places where I'm posting.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I look forward to our next conversation. Congratulations on the book. This was an amazing show. I wish you the very best. Thank you so much, Greg.
Thank you,
Have a
Jimmy.
great rest of your evening.
You too.
Perfect show. Greg Martins. Thank you, Greg. And his links are below. We've got them up in the chat. The book, Star Journey Home, Connect with Your Home Planet, and Oversoul. Yeah, go and check it out. The book is right there. And I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tomorrow night on the show is our once a month AMA AJA, where we just hang out and you can ask me anything. So I'll see all of you tomorrow night. But until then, all I've got is go Beckley Tappy. Fade to Black is produced by Hilton J. Palm, Renee Newman, and Michelle Freed. Special thanks to Bill, John, Dex, Jessica, Dennis, and Kevin. Webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music by Doug Aldrich. Intro, Space Boy. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network. This broadcast is owned and copyrighted 2024 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network, Inc. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Go Beckley Tappy.